Welcome back, friends, to another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Lids87 here, and I am bringing you guys another Are They Worth It video, where I talk over units or a unit on a banner to see if they are worth your precious tickets and or gems. Before I get into it though, friends, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. We are almost at 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. Big milestone, at least for myself. I thank you guys. That's all I can say. We're almost there, fam. We're almost there. Help me reach that goal. I greatly appreciate it. On September 18th, UTC time, and I am cutting it pretty damn close because the event is the day I am making this video, we will be getting a new event in the form of 9, and Barrett will be getting character boards. But like I just mentioned, 9 will be on here. So we got Noctis's Burst being featured on here, so if you haven't gotten it yet, this is another opportunity for you to pick it up. 9 will be featured on here with EX weapon, LD weapon. Barrett and Fujin will be synergy for this event, and their EX weapons will be reran on here also. So let's take a look at 9 and see what he will be bringing to the game. So 9 is a ranged attacker that has party protection in the form of shields and HP damage reduction. 9 also has HP healing in the form of his Whirling Lance, his second ability, and Laser Lance, his EX abilities. So with Whirling Lance, any extra healing will be shared to the party. And with Laser Lance, as long as you take this to EX plus, 0 out of 3, the HP healing is extended to the party. And with his upgraded Brave Attack in White Knight, his LD ability, he does provide Brave healing to the party. So 9's power does come from his buffs. They are framed buffs on himself, and he also has some party utility, which we're going to talk about in a second. But for right now, his offensive buffs come in the form of Wild Roar. Now, in order to gain stacks of Wild Roar, you either have to use Primal Roar or Whirling Lance, which is his first and second ability, and these will grant him 1 or 2 stacks depending on how many enemies 9 attacks. So if he attacks one enemy with his first or second ability, he will get 1 stack. He will get 2 stacks if there are at least 2 enemies on the field. And if you take his EX weapon to EX plus 2 out of 3, he will start off at 3 stacks. So Wild Roar, 1 through 5, depending on how many stacks you have. So at base, once it starts off at stack 1, you get 20% to speed, 20% to max brave, 10% to attack, and depending on how many stacks you have, this will increase max brave and attack. Speed will stay the same at 20%, but it'll increase 10% per stack to max brave and attack, maxing out at 60% to max brave and 50% to attack. This can be further boosted with his artifact passive, Reckless Spearman Boost, 2 stars, which will increase max brave and attack by 5% when Wild Roar, his buff, is at least 2 levels. So that's an additional 15% to max brave and attack. So of course you definitely want to pick this up alongside either attack 108 or max brave. His other offensive buff is Wild Lancer, which he grants himself with his EX ability, Laser Lance. Now what this does is this will further increase his attack by 20% in Stolen Max Brave Overflow. And if he happens to attack at least 2 enemies with Laser Lance, this will increase to 40% for attack and Stolen Max Brave Overflow, letting him dish out even more damage. Now with his defensive buffs, this is the reason why you would want 9 on your team compositions. With his Wild Guard, which he grants to all your party members with Primal Roar, this will nullify brave damage by 50% of HP damage dealt with Primal Roar. So when you attack the enemies with Primal Roar, the final HP attack, whatever that is, 50% of that number is converted to a shield on your allies that will nullify brave damage. So treat it exactly like the Warrior of Light shield, where it nullifies brave damage. Now if things gets out of hands, he does have a safety backup buff that comes with his LD White Knight, and this is primarily where I will talk about his LD ability, his LD buff, because this is it right here, White Knight. Now after using White Knight, his LD ability, he will grant each party member a buff called White Knight. Now what this does, this will increase said party member's attack by 20%, increase their Stolen Max Brave Overflow by 10%, but this will nullify HP damage received from HP attacks. So not only can this guy nullify brave damage, he can also nullify HP damage protecting your party members. Now do keep in mind though, once said party member receives an HP attack, they will lose White Knight, that White Knight buff, and it will then become Rebellious Fangs for 6 turns. And this buff pretty much, that said party member gets pissed off because Rebellious Fangs further increases the buffs from White Knight. So instead of 20% to attack and 10% to Stolen Max Brave Overflow, this now becomes 40% to attack, so doubling attack, and plus 30% to Stolen Max Brave Overflow. Now keep in mind with Rebellious Fangs, they will no longer be able to nullify HP damage. This is only for 1 HP attack, so keep that in mind, friends. Once said party member takes that HP attack, it gets nullified, and this becomes a different buff which no longer protects them from HP damage. Please keep that in mind, friends, when you do use 9 on your roster. Now with his EX weapon, I did mention earlier his Wild Lancer. Again, that is the plus 20% to attack and stolen max brave overflow, plus 40% when the enemy count is at least 2. Now if you are looking to EX plus his weapon, what EX recommendation do I give? At least EX plus 2 out of 3, because when the quest starts, he will grant himself access to 3 stacks of Wild Roar and 9 turns to Wild Lancer, his EX ability buff. So being at 3 stacks of Wild Roar and you're looking at least 2 different enemies, use his first ability or second ability, Primal Roar or Whirling Lance. You're going to be at 5 stacks. On top of his Wild Lancer, you're going to be at his most damage potential right off of the bat. You're going to be dishing out a lot of damage. And not only that, to help you do this for free, at EX plus 2 out of 3, when 9 first goes, this will not consume an ability use, so you can get to 5 stacks for free at EX plus 2 out of 3. So for me, ideally, this is the limit break that I would want. Now, if you're asking yourselves about the other limit break, at EX plus 0 out of 3, increased potencies to laser lands, HP healing will be extended to the party because at base, he heals himself. But at EX plus 0 out of 3, this healing is extended to the party. EX plus 1 out of 3, increased potencies to max brave and attack. And EX plus 3 out of 3, laser lance will hit a lot harder. And his upgraded brave and HP attack will convert to jump plus and high jump plus, while Wild Lancer is active. And if you do happen to max out his EX weapon, EX plus 3 out of 3, you will gain access to a C-type bonus sphere. And what this does, when the wielder breaks a target or attacks a broken target, this will restore said party members' HP by 10%. So it's not a bad bonus sphere, truthfully. Said party member being able to heal themselves, especially if they take a lot of HP damage or if it is a tank-like unit, this will greatly benefit them. Now, of course, with all these wonderful pros about said character, there are always cons. Now, first and foremost, he will be compared to a tank. He has tank-like qualities built into his kit, but he does not have a taunt. So if you're looking for something like that, 9 does not have a lock or a taunt. Now, there was a very weird bug on the JP side of the game when 9 came out. I believe Zach also had it. The issue with 9 was that he could not refresh the shields from Wild Guard unless the values were gone or until they got broken. Now, that's an issue because if you want to, of course, refresh your shield values so that, more brave nullifying based on said value, then you can't do that. You couldn't do that. Now, Global should fix this. I hope they fix this issue because that's going to be a huge problem if they release 9 like that. 9 does grant himself 4 buffs, so keep that in mind if you do happen to bring a party member that gives the party members a lot of buffs. So keep that in mind because if not, you're going to start pushing that other party member's buffs off or they won't be getting any of the buffs from said party member. And keep this in mind that his shield values refresh only if the value is higher than the current value. So for example, you do his Primal Roar, 50% of that is converted, the HP damage is converted to the shield. So let's say you have, 3,000 shield, just for example. That's a shitty number, that's very low, but keep this in mind, all right? So 3,000, all right? On the following turn, Primal Roar again. Now the 50% reduction is at 1,500. That is not going to refresh, it's not going to stack on top of that. It will still be at 3,000. Now, some players might see this as a con, like, hey, I want to refresh my shields, let me refresh them. Or it could be a pro. The way I see it is, why would I want a lower value on my party members? Just let me keep the higher value, the shield value. So if for some reason your shield values do not refresh, it's for that reason alone. It's because you did not do higher HP damage in the conversion to 50% than what is currently on your party members. And the last point we'll actually talk about if 9 is worth it. Speaking of, is 9 worth it? Is he worth your precious tickets and or gems? Tickets, ask yourself, do you really need this guy? Gems, type 0 fans. All right, let me explain this a little bit further, fans. I'm not trying to downplay 9 at all whatsoever. So first and foremost, don't look at the other tanks at the moment. All right, so let's be real here, friends, that 9 is being compared as a tank. He does have tank-like qualities, in his kit. He does have a Brave nullifying shield. He has an HP nullifying buff that he has granted to the party. So he will be seen as a tank, even if you're trying to argue otherwise. A lot of players, a lot of viewers will see him as a tank because of those reasons. So again, not looking at the other tanks, 9, he's an all-around pretty good range attacker with some party utility in his kit. So Brave Battery to the party is always a great thing, especially for an attacker. HP healing on an attacker is also a huge bonus in my eyes. Being an attacker that heals the party members, yes please, it's just one less thing you have to worry about, especially if you don't have a decent healer on your team, in your roster. As an attacker, being able to shield your party members from Brave damage is a ginormous, it's a tremendous bonus in my own personal opinion. You don't have to worry about your party members Brave after the HP attack, especially if there's no form of Brave refund or Brave to the party after said HP attack. You don't have to worry about that as long as said boss doesn't break that party member's shield. They will be safe, and it will also protect you from receiving some hefty HP attacks, because we know that a lot of these chaos stages, and once we get into the Lufenia era, we know that there's some cheese. The bosses have some shitty, mechanics built in where, like, if they see your party members are very low Brave and the monster has, or the boss has low Brave, they will follow up with some gnarly Brave plus HP attacks, literally one-shotting your party members. But with the shield, it can reduce that because it's going to nullify said Brave damage, and the HP damage that the boss does to your party members won't be as much. Now, if shit does get out of hand, you're like, oh crap, I screwed up. He does have a safety button in the form of White Knight, his LD ability, which will grant party members White Knight. And what this does, this will nullify any HP damage said party members receive, protecting them from lethal damage. So you see a really big HP attack coming your way. You see, that glowing purple numbers above the boss's head. Your party member's about to die. Hey, you have a safety switch, a safety net in the form of 9's LD ability. And not only that, it boosts your party member's attack and stolen Brave overflow. But once that party member receives that HP attack, they get pissed off. They will lose that safety net, that HP damage reduction, but their attack will be doubled to 40%, and stolen max Brave overflow now becomes 30%, letting said party members dish out that much more damage. So just 9 on his own, again, without looking at the other tanks. If you're a Type 0 fan, he's gonna fit beautifully on your Type 0 compositions, because he can provide all those wonderful benefits to your party. But if you're not a Type 0 fan, ask yourselves, do you have a tank? Ask yourselves, do you have Bosch? Are you gonna be going for Warrior of Light? Because Bosch, he is still live on the global side. Bosch is the undying tank. He is an excellent tank to pick up right now at this point in the game and going forward on for your rosters. He all AoE damage is towards himself. He taunts up all the enemies, which 9 doesn't have a taunt, and Bosch is able to self-sustain himself, especially with his LD ability. If his HP drops below 50%, he will heal back up to 50%, and Bosch has a safety net in the form that he can survive fatal hits with 1 HP. Stack that on top with his LD ability, it's very hard to kill off Bosch. And if you're not going for Bosch, if you're familiar with Warrior of Light will be coming in the near horizon, and he will be receiving an LD and burst weapon. Now, I compared Warrior Light and 9, whereas lacks damage like 9, because 9, he is an attacker first and foremost, followed by him providing these party-wide utilities in the form of Brave and HP nullifying or negation buffs to the party. Warrior of Light, though, he makes up for that with potent Brave healing to the party, shields to the party, and he will also receive HP damage reduction once Warrior of Light receives his LD weapon and ability. So Warrior of Light is more focused on the tank role, and in my opinion has better Brave nullifying shield than 9. So if you're going to be going for Bosch, if you're going to be going for Warrior of Light, then I do recommend skipping out on 9 for now, unless you want another party member to be content with. If you're bored, he is a good unit to add to your roster. But again, if you already have that tank role filled, especially if you have Bosch, you can take that to 9's challenge quest. And if you have Noctis, and if you have Barret and or Fujin, you should be fine. But if you did skip out on Bosch and are skipping on Warrior of Light, I highly recommend you guys pick yourselves up some form of tank to add to your team compositions, and 9 can fill that role beautifully. Let's take a peek into the future to talk about 9 when he does come back. So currently on the JP side of the game, 9 has yet to repeat. Now, unfortunately, due to COVID-19 that's going on, JP stuff was pushed back. We were at a point where we were able to see lost chapters right before we got said character's debut event on the global side of the game. So we're like, all right, this is what's going to happen on their event, because what's currently happening on JP is that since that started happening, there are 2 LD weapons on a banner. So that just from prediction, because of that, when 9's lost chapter appears on the JP side of the game, especially for any type of planners, that means there's going to be an LD weapon on there. So that's either going to be Barret and or Fujin. So if you want to skip out on 9 now, especially if you have Bosch, if you're going to wait until 9's lost chapter on the global side of the game, keep an eye on JP to see which one of these 2 characters, Barret or Fujin, will receive an LD weapon over there on the JP side. So you could potentially pick up 2 LDs in the process when chasing for 9 when his lost chapter debuts on the global side of the game. All right, fam. So at the moment, we don't know who's getting what right now, but if you want to skip out on him for now because of those units, nothing but respect. That is it for this video, friends. I want to thank you guys for watching my Are They Worth It, where I talk about 9. Be sure to let me know down below in the comments what you guys are going to be doing for 9. I do know a lot of players will be skipping out on 9, but if you are going to go for him, let me know down below in the comments. Me personally, I think he's cool. Like I've seen him used. I was watching videos of him used. I like him. He's pretty cool, but more than likely I will be skipping out on him because I do have Bosch. I will be going for Warrior of Light. I want to try to at least get Warrior of Light's LD weapon. So, and I'm very, very, very hopeful that it's Barret that will receive a rework in LD on the JP side of the game, because Final Fantasy VII fanboy, I love Barret in the game. My Barret is 3 out of 3 on the global side and on JP. So I'm being a fanboy and waiting and being hopeful that Barret does receive some love. So at the end of the day, I will be skipping out on 9 until his lost chapter. All right, friends. So again, let me know down below in the comments what you guys are going to do for this banner. And until next time, friends, good luck and have a good one.